Please welcome to the stage Fintech Meetup's president, Louisa Hunter, and event director for Europe, Gary Dempsey.
Hello, and welcome to Fintech Meetup 2026. This is where the key players in the industry come to win tech with fintech, to secure real competitive advantage through technology, partnerships, and execution. We're incredibly proud to bring you together for this amazing show, because Fintech Meetup is not just another fintech event. It is fundamentally different. I love to hear the stories that come out of this game-changing show. The sponsor that landed the biggest deal in the company's 20-year history right here this time last year. The technology partnership that saved the struggling bank and then transformed it into an innovative and flourishing business. These stories are not outliers. They happen over and over at Fintech Meetup. That's what happens when you bring the right people together in the right structure with the right intent. And that is what this unique event is designed to do. For me personally, it's incredibly exciting to be back at the heart of this ecosystem. I rejoined the industry 18 months ago to lead this event because I believe deeply in the model that we've built, and also in its relevance to the financial services industry. There is no other industry that benefits more from structured, high-quality connections than this one, and no community more capable of turning those connections into extraordinary value. When I was last working closely with banks and global payments companies in the early 2000s, the industry looked very different. Back then, fintech was a sideshow. Today, it's the main show. Payments have been redefined, neobanks are market leaders, lending, wealth, and credit are reshaped, and banks are no longer competing with each other. They're competing with specialists that have unbundled their services. Digital transformation has gone from optional to existential. Data is now a strategic asset, and AI, cloud, and cybersecurity are central to every important and serious conversation. Really importantly, competition is no longer about who has the best product. It's about who has the best ecosystem, which is why partnerships are no longer a nice to have. They are one of the most important levers for growth, for relevance, and for survival. No single organization can compete across technology, distribution, regulation, data, customer experience alone. And there is no better place to identify, build, and accelerate those partnerships than right here at Fintech Meetup. Now, let's talk about how we do that, because a lot of events talk about ROI. We're actually built around it. At the heart of our show is a double opt-in meetings program, powered by technology and scaled in a way that no other fintech event can match. These are not chance encounters, they are not badge scans, and they are not curated meetings for the select few or the highest bidder. These are 50,000 meetings between people who have chosen to meet with each other. And what I find incredible is the level of demand behind that. This year, we saw over 100,000 mutual matches in the meetings platform, which means that the opportunity is even bigger than what's already happening here. Less chasing, more meetings that matter, and that's what makes this event completely different. And of course, we haven't stopped there. This year, we've expanded how you connect by introducing table talks, which connect small groups of peers on their key topic of interest. Those table talks are happening over breakfast on Tuesday and Wednesday, and the breakfast will be absolutely gigantic. We've also launched the circuit, access via the meetings platform and your guide to everything that's happening at the show, including last night's launch of the CMO Banking Summit with Engine by Jen. Alongside all of that, you'll find just 6 clearly defined stages so you can really easily navigate what matters to you most. And across that, we've layered in the new digital asset series, so you can explore really easily how digital assets are moving from emerging technology to operating reality. Everything we do is guided by two core principles: value and connections. We bring that to life with a world-class team who operate with polish and precision. This industry doesn't need another circus. It deserves an event that delivers real results, where every interaction is intentional and every detail is considered. What makes the Fintech Meetup movement really exciting is the trajectory that it's on. In just a few short years, Fintech Meetup has grown from an online meetings platform to the second largest event in the US. This growth hasn't happened by chance. It's happened because the model works, because the value is real, and because this community continues to show up and invest. And now, that momentum is accelerating, and as the market enters the next phase of growth, so do we. We're expanding in the US, and we're expanding beyond the US, and later this year, we'll be launching Fintech Meetup Europe, because the demand for structured, high-value, outcome-driven connection is just as true on the other side of the Atlantic. Gary, over to you.
Thanks, Louisa. And yeah, this is the fun part for me, because everything you just heard, that's exactly why we built Fintech Meetup Europe. Not because Europe needs another conference, it absolutely doesn't. It desperately needs a Fintech Meetup. We'll have 2,500 attendees and 25,000 double opt-in meetings. We built it because this model, the meetings model you're all experiencing this week, works. And it works in an industry where access is everything.
It's such a transferable model. Same challenges, same need for access, same need for meaningful connection. But it's not the same market, is it?
Exactly. Now, if you've ever tried to build in Europe, you'll know it's a different game. It's older, it's more fragmented, it's more regulated, and it's a lot harder to get in front of the right people at scale. You don't just show up and meet decision makers across markets. You build that access slowly. So the opportunity for us is pretty simple. What happens if you take this exact model, pre-scheduled meetings, double opt-in meetings, confirmed before arrival, and drop it into Europe? What if instead of spending 6 to 12 months trying to break into banks, PSPs, or merchants across different countries, you could do that in 3 days? And that's exactly what we're building in Lisbon. And the appetite is unreal, right?
The response has been so positive. And the reality is that everyone here at the show is in a really strong position to take advantage of it. You know the format, you know how it works, you know how powerful it is. So ask yourself, what are your plans in Europe?
Yes, because whether it's this year or next, most of the companies in this room are going to have to figure that out. And when you do, this is the fastest way to get in.
So Gary, tell us, what should people do if they want to learn more about Europe this week?
Great question. We've made that really easy for you. I'll be around all week. If you're even slightly thinking about Europe, come and grab me, or even easier, come down to the Futures Lounge later on. We've got the Fintech Meetup Europe happy hour there between 5 and 6 p.m. Join us for some Portuguese cocktails, some giveaways, and we can talk you what that process looks like in practice. No hard sell, just a proper conversation about whether it makes sense for you. And if it does, we'll move quickly. Thanks, everyone. We've already got around 50 sponsors and partners on board, 50 speakers, and I hope you can all join us in Lisbon. And now, Louisa and I are going to hand over to Sanjib, and I'm hoping that just like last year, he comes out dancing.
Have a great show, everyone.
Girls, what y'all trying to do? 24-karat magic in the air. Head to toe so clear. Look out. Pop, it's showtime.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Louisa. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I am so happy to welcome you to Fintech Meetup 2026. One housekeeping note, Slido will be open for all main stage sessions for Q&A, but because of limitations in time on stage, we will follow up post-event with content. Moving on, some of you might know that I started my career as an electrical engineer. I was a chip designer. Deep inside, I'm still an electrical engineer. So when looking at fintech today, I still look at it like an engineer. As an engineer, the three things that capture where we are fintech today are processors, plugs, and precision. Processors are the brains of computers and the most critical part. They make the decisions, control the data, run the system. Plugs provide the power. The processor is just dead weight without the plugs. Finally, precision keeps everything working and aligned to where we'd like to go and what we'd like to do. So I've highlighted two processor architectures. In serial processing is where you execute one step after another. In parallel processing, where you do many steps at the same time and then combine them. Here's a cooking analogy. If you're cooking a dish by serial processing, first you chop up the vegetables, then you work the meat, the protein, and then you work on the sauce, and you combine it all at the end together in a pot. In parallel processing, one person chops the vegetables, another works the protein, another works the sauces, and then combines them at the end in the pot. And in serial processing, you need a superstar chef who's good at everything. In parallel processing, you need good organization and great station chefs. So what the heck does this have to do with financial services? From a technology perspective, the most popular processors used to be serial. Today, they're parallel processors from companies like NVIDIA, ARM, Apple, Google, and Samsung. As data centers grow and mobile and embedded platforms become more important, processing becomes more parallel. And I'd argue that business itself is becoming more parallel. As embedded finance gets more distributed and embedded, don't plan for superhero solutions that need to be everything to everyone all the time. Put together great pieces and make something with a lighter profile that can be used outside of your traditional footprint. We need to plan for more embedded, portable, and flexible futures while being compliant and protecting customer data. A practical example of this is KYC. It used to be only done at account opening about once, and so speed was secondary. As fintech expands, we'll need a lot more KYC that is faster and more portable. This will be critical for embedded finance and AI applications. Now, let's look at plugs. You probably see plugs all the time, but you never look at them. Without plugs and sockets, we wouldn't have electricity in our buildings. If we didn't have standards and specs, we'd still be in the dark. Electricity started being used in homes about 150 years ago, and the first patent for detachable plugs was 1904. Having standards helped prevent electrical fires, enabled greater products, and grew the market. Yet, after 150 years, we still have all of these different electrical plug standards. So, once again, you might be asking yourself, what does this have to do with financial services? Like plugs and electricity, our industry works best with large ecosystems driven by standards. But think of where we'd be if we waited for global standards for electrical plugs. Right now, many of us in the audience might be waiting for broad standards for things like stable coins, AI platforms, open finance, real-time payments, digital assets, and more. But as the French philosopher Voltaire said, the perfect is the enemy of the good. Be practical in how you assess and pursue these opportunities. Look for critical mass, even in niche applications and communities. Try to identify sparks that will get the kindling burning. Look for leading indicators so you don't get left behind. Finally, I wanted to discuss perspective. These two photographs are of interstellar gas and dust called the pillars of creation. They're called this because these clouds of gas and dust are creating new stars. And because they're 7,000 light years away, these images started before civilization even started. Isn't that cool? The photo on the left was taken by the Hubble telescope in 1995. The photo on the right was taken by the James Webb telescope 2022, or 27 years later. Notice how much more detail you can see in the second image with more time and technology. Similarly, we might be looking at payments broadly, then we see details around cross-border payments, then we see the differences in cross-border payments between Colombia and the Philippines. We might drill deeper and see differences between consumer and business. And then we could even jump out and see another part of the image and see similarities to payments in Eastern Europe. The precision that you all are trying to drive is truly amazing. I've been in this industry for decades, and I'm constantly impressed with the level of thought and sincerity that you all bring. Make sure that you realize that you're working on some really cool things. Embrace the beauty. Embrace the impact that you make. Embrace how far you and we have come. So let me leave you with this final image of kids building a rocket ship. And regardless of how many years we've lived, we're all still kids. And also, regardless of exactly what you're working on, what you're building is more difficult than a rocket. Thank you again for joining us at Fintech Meetup 2026. And in the words of a very important American philosopher, to infinity and beyond! Thank you.
Inglewood's finest shoes. Don't look too hard, might hurt yourself. Known to give the color red the